much going on. So hopefully what I'm going to present will just help us to get clarity in making our decisions. So what I'm introducing to you is a framework. It's a framework that I applied to something different, but I then realized that it also works as far as EdTech implementation is concerned. So hopefully this is something that will help us. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions as we go along. So I really want you to reflect. So you are part and parcel of this presentation. So it's not just me speaking to you guys, but I really want you to think about what's really going on in your own schools as well. Right, so what we want is to be able not just to say what tech do we use, but rather why this tech, why is it for these learners, and why are we doing it in this way. So it's a 5-pillar strategy, and the first strategy is identity. All right, so it's important to understand that every school has its own DNA. Each school has its own culture. It's a very important thing to understand your own identity. It's nice when you hear that, you know, such and such a school has done this, or they've put up boards and etc. But it's really important to understand that before any tech tool, we must clarify this question. What do we believe about learning? What do we believe about equity? What's our belief as a school? It's important, again, to then host what I call a values workshop. And a values workshop is really based around that question. Who are we? What do we believe? So if these were teachers and leaders of one school, that would be the question I'll be asking, like, who are we in the first place? What's our identity? Before we take on any tools, before we buy anything or invest in any sort of tech, who are we? And the question I want to ask, I want you to think about your school. And how would you describe your current school's, let's say, technological identity in 3 words? If you were to put it into 3 words, how would you describe your school? What's your school's identity like as far as technology is concerned? Think about it. If you've got somewhere to write, see if you can write it in 3 words. I don't know. Is that 3 words? just imagining. Okay, pillar number 2. I like to refer to this as assignment. So the first thing is identity. Who are we? Pillar number 2 is assignment. Who do we serve? So it's not about what's trendy. I believe it's about who's in the room, because that's who the technology is going to serve. So we need to make sure that we get this right. Who are we serving? Is everyone doing coding? Is everyone doing robotics? Who are we serving? Again, it's important to take surveys, perhaps to just to uncover how students and how teachers are engaging with technology. Who's struggling? Who's thriving as far as the technology is concerned? And it's important to even interview people. I call them empathy interviews. I want you to ask the person next to you, just find out from them, how do you deal with technology? Does it stress you? Or do you thrive?
You already need, so I know you're not struggling. I know you're not struggling.
So the one question I want you to answer with regards to your school is this. Who is the one underserved group in your school when it comes to EdTech access or support? Who is the one underserved group in your school when it comes to EdTech access or support? So you could say it's teachers, or It's the students, or it's the parents. We all assume that all the parents understand how we use our technology, so we're gonna all introduce them to this platform. But is it really working for them? Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what I call message. What are we saying? Once you know who you are and who you serve, then it's time to actually then change your narrative. So we know or understand our identity. We know exactly who we're serving. So it then becomes necessary to develop a clear EdTech message, whether it's about inclusion, whether it's about innovation, or is it about future readiness? For example, you want to use something that I call a mapping worksheet. It just helps to align everyone. You want everyone in the room to then say, for example, we use EdTech to unlock agency in all our learners. But it's something that everyone understands. It's not something just the IT people understand, or just the EdTech implementers, or the ICT department. It's like everyone should be able to understand. So where hopefully you get to a stage where hopefully you're all reading from the same page and everyone is saying the same thing. That way it makes it easier for the entire organization to then embrace your innovation or your improvement. All right, so the next thing is, how do we deliver method? So a lot of the times, this is where schools start. A lot of the times, and think about this. We all start off by buying tools, right? Then we're like, okay, now we need to train everyone, we need to make sure everyone understands, etc. And then we figure out, actually, we don't need this, or we didn't need this. What we had previously actually was working, or we didn't utilize it to its full capacity, and now it's time to change, but it's expensive. Okay, so hopefully this process helps us to take us to the beginning, and this is something that we then should come to after we've gone through all the other stages. In other words, it helps us to make more informed decisions. So do an audit, take some action, do an audit. Ask yourself what's already in use. Okay, is it working? How is it working? How is it serving us? Perhaps pilot 1 or 2 low-risk changes. Okay? A lot of times we want to make wholesome changes. Start off with something that's low risk. It doesn't cost much. If we can change it, we can change it. It's not going to take a lot of training time, etc. And then at the same time, also offer bite-sized personal development. This is where we lag. And I think this happens across all schools. We've got a certain amount of time allotted to personal development, right? And sometimes we'll squeeze in 5 minutes or 10 minutes for any tech stuff. Right? We talk about everything else. We'll do everything else. We'll talk about our schemes of work, our results, everything else. Who did what, who's not doing what, which student is doing this. All right, 10 minutes, technology. Yet we're supposed to use that every single day. Okay, so think about putting that into your plan as well, so that people are able to deliver. So here's a question I want to ask. Please say to the next person, you need to answer this question.
You need to answer this question.
What's the one tool or platform your school tried that surprised you, either positively or negatively? What is the one tool or platform that your school introduced or used that surprised you either positively or negatively? Just share your answer with the person next to you. I heard WhatsApp, not joking. Okay, so the fifth pillar is strategy. Strategy. And strategy, we're talking about a roadmap. What is the roadmap? Hopefully, a roadmap will bring all these findings together. And what I propose is that maybe you, instead of making wholesome changes all at once, you can look at your roadmap that focuses on adopting something, getting feedback, and then you review and change things. Look at things on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. At the end of the year, come back, find out a little bit more. I think we need to tweak this or we need to change this. Don't change it everywhere, but perhaps look at a particular subject or a particular class. See how that works before you make changes, before you make wholesome changes. Okay, so this is the one thing that I need you to also understand, is that you don't need a title to lead change. At my own school, I don't hold the innovation title, but I do help in terms of just aligning teams, introducing practical tools, and hopefully moving from talk to action. I like to call this quiet leadership, and that's what you all are, because you interact with the children, you interact with parents, and at the same time, you understand how effective the EdTech works in all your respective departments. So, this is what I'll leave you with. This week, identify or schedule something in the week, begin something in the month, pilot something in the next 2 months, draft something by the end of the term, then hopefully you would have moved from vision to practice. Thank you for your time.